Okay, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us. At least there's some people coming in the door. All right, well, folks are getting settled. I'll take a moment to introduce myself. It's great to see some new names and the names of some folks who were able to join us last night, as well as on Friday for our in-person sessions for our 50th Annual Environmental Congress. My name is Jennifer Coffey, and I have the pleasure of serving as ANJAC's Executive Director. And I am joined this afternoon by some esteemed speakers, as well as very hardworking ANJAC staff. So thank you for joining us today for our second virtual session. And we are continuing this program online this week. These sessions are being recorded and they will be posted on our YouTube channel. Please follow us on Instagram and Facebook if you aren't already. And everyone who is registered for the virtual sessions of Environmental Congress will receive the link to this session as well as the other recorded sessions. And so you can pass those along when we have them published, and they will be posted on our YouTube channel. I want to offer thanks to all of our sponsors who make our Environmental Congress possible and enable us to bring programming like this to you and year round. So thank you to all of our business sponsors, many of them whom exhibited on Friday at the in-person session and who are speaking at sessions both on Friday and throughout the week. I also want to thank our nonprofit sponsors who are here with us presenting and standing arm in arm, fighting for protecting our resources, creating healthy communities, and of course, establishing a more equitable and just New Jersey as we move forward together. So thank you to our business and nonprofit sponsors. I want to take just a moment as we gather for our 50th Annual Environmental Congress and recognize the tremendous progress that we have made in our nation, but really starting here in New Jersey at the very local level with all of you environmental commissioners. About 50 years ago, on the left is what New York City looked like on the regular, not just for a day or two because of Canadian wildfires. And we had waterways that were so incredibly contaminated that they would spontaneously combust and light on fire. And it is because of you, because of the work that environmental commissioners have done at the local level, pushing New Jersey to be a national leader, that we no longer have this situation. New Jersey has led the nation in creating the first wetlands protection law, the first contaminated site cleanup law that led to our National Superfund law, the first environmental justice regulations, the first time that a state has ever used climate modeling to adjust for and help make strong and smart decisions about where to put and how to construct new development because of the impacts of climate change. We know that we have hard things in front of us, very hard things with climate change, accessibility, justice, and equity. But because we have done hard things, we know that we can continue to do hard things. And we at ANJAC are here as your resource. We expect, because we've set the bar high, we expect that New Jersey will continue to be a leader because we know you at the local level will continue to push. We will push the state government and in turn lead the nation to create a better environment and healthy communities for all of us. So please remember ANJAC as your resource organization. We're here for technical support, educational programs like this. We have small grant programs that we open up every spring for communities to have access to funds to create healthier, greener spaces. And we need you as a partner as well. And we appreciate everything you do, all of the work that you do. And we want to remind you that many of your municipalities are on an annual calendar year budget cycle. And that means that if you would like to have money for your environmental commission to implement grants, to conduct community projects, now is the time to start thinking about that money and to get your request in to your municipal officials, to your mayor, to your council liaison. We also ask that as you prepare your budget, you consider your ANJAC membership so that we can continue to be your resource and your partner in the local fight, the state fight, and leading the nation. So with that, I also want to remind you, as if you could forget, that the entire New Jersey legislature is up for election on November 7th. We've got great opportunities to vote early in New Jersey. ANJAC is a nonpartisan organization. We're a 501c3, so we do not endorse candidates, but we do encourage you to do research on your candidates and to vote. Voting is incredibly important, and particularly in this year, we're expecting a very low voter turnout because we don't have a president or a governor on the ballot. So it's even more important this year that your voice is heard and that you vote for candidates who listen to you, who support your community, and support our environment. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Amanda Brockwell on our staff to introduce our speakers today. And I will hang around in the background. We're going to have 2 speakers, and then we'll have some time for Q&A. And I'm really looking forward to today's session and to learning. So Amanda, with that, let me turn it over to you for
Excellent.
introductions.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We are thrilled to bring this conversation forward about collaborative land conservation and stewardship through 2 great speakers. The first presentation will be from Mara Tippett, who is an associate director at Raritan Headwaters. Take it away, Mara.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Amanda. And thank you to ANJAC for hosting yet another fantastic environmental congress. I've really been enjoying all of the presentations, both the in-person session and so far in the virtual. So thank you very, very much. Okay. So Raritan Headwaters Association, I'll just do a little intro of our organization if you're not familiar. We're a nonprofit watershed conservation organization that has been working for over 60 years to protect clean water for the residents who live here, as well as all of those downstream and throughout the state who rely on the water that we protect. Let's see. First clicks are always, there we go. We have a lot of ground and water to cover. The Raritan Headwaters watershed is 470 square miles in 38 municipalities with over 1,400 miles of stream. And about half of our watershed is in the Highlands region, and 2 of New Jersey's largest reservoirs are also in our watershed. We have a complicated mix of forests, farms, and folks, as we say, and you can see this in the land use map. Each has their own set of priorities, challenges, and needs, and it's quite the mosaic. You know, the urban populated areas are in pink, the agricultural farmland areas in yellow, and the greener forested areas. So RHA engages citizens and decision makers in the protection of our watershed and beyond through science, education, land preservation, stewardship, and advocacy. We monitor the health of surface water and groundwater and craft education programs about water and wildlife conservation and responsible stewardship practices for children, adults, and municipal partners and visitors. And we help preserve land with our partners and manage our preserved lands using nationally recognized best management practices. And you can learn a lot more about our work and take your time to explore the many resources that we have available on our website at raritanheadwaters.org. So everything we do is collaborative. This takes a cooperative effort. It's a big job. And fortunately, here in New Jersey, we have a wealth of expertise and many excellent organizations that can assist us as a nonprofit, as well as local governments, to reach your goals and success in initiatives, and build capacity, and help educate the public about water resources and land preservation. And we need community initiatives to clean our streams, to preserve and steward critical watershed lands, and to plan for the future and implement change. So find your partners, and this could be, watershed groups like RHA or Musconetcong Watershed Association, community colleges and universities. So we have RVCC and Rutgers working with us often. And I'm sure I'm going to miss a lot of organizations and partners on this slide. I just couldn't possibly cram any more in. Land trusts. We work with New Jersey Conservation Foundation, Hunterdon Land Trust. NRCS and North Jersey RC&D help us work with farmers in our watershed. So many fantastic partners reach out. Often we act as a liaison for environmental commission members or other interested members of the public to find the right partner and direct them to the best resource that meets their needs. So we're here to talk a little bit more about land preservation today. RHA is a watershed association, and our focus is, of course, on clean water. But we have many tools in our toolbox to protect water resources. And the preservation of land is a critically important tool that provides numerous benefits and ecosystem services. Forest, wetlands, and other preserved lands act as natural filters. They're our drinking water purification system. Water purification services provided by preserved lands in New Jersey is approximately $4.1 billion per year in services. Forests and other preserved lands play a vital role in carbon sequestration and helping to mitigate climate change. And in addition to protection of water quality for drinking water and recreation, preservation protects critical habitat for wildlife. The massive conversion of forests and wetlands and grasslands to developed land has produced a 60% decline on average in the number of vertebrates worldwide since 1970, and the greatest losses invertebrate populations occur in freshwater habitats. So tourism and recreation, access to nature has been linked to reduce stress and improve mental health and increase physical activity. And the protection of our soils, drought resilience, flood mitigation. Again, we need those forests and undeveloped lands to be our sponges, absorbing excess water during storms. A study published in the Journal of Environmental Science Policy estimated that wetlands in New Jersey provide flood reduction benefits valued at $472 million annually. I'd venture to say it's even more than that. The public health benefits like air and water quality and improved overall well-being. You hear it all the time, but we are the most densely populated state in the nation. We need every tree we can get to counter water and air pollution. And the proximity to preserved lands has been shown to increase property values, which translates into higher property tax revenues for municipalities too. So there are economic benefits as well. And we can capitalize on these economic advantages and ensure the long-term health and well-being of its residents and the environment. So there are a number of tools and resources for preserving land and protecting these important ecosystem services. And every landowner has a role to play in this mission. And as Environmental Commission members, it's important to be aware of the methods to preserve land. So there could be a conservation easement where landowners will voluntarily limit development on their properties and ensure that the natural state remains intact. And there are financial incentives and tax benefits there as well, which is often a win-win. Farmland preservation, the State Agricultural Development Committee and local and county governments often partner in these projects. And then outright land purchases or donations as well. So over the last 6 decades, we've worked to preserve land that protects important water resources. RHA owns 9 wildlife preserves and holds 33 conservation easements, and in partnership with others has preserved nearly 7,000 acres of critical watershed lands. And we've accomplished this through all of the methods that I just mentioned. And sometimes, again, we simply act as a liaison between landowners and other partners in preservation. We are an accredited land trust, and we're honored to have been accredited by the Land Trust Accreditation Commission for demonstrating that we meet national quality standards for protecting these important natural lands. And most of the land acquisitions that RHA is involved with are supported by the New Jersey Green Acres program. So Green Acres provides grants and low interest loans to municipalities and counties for open space acquisition and outdoor recreation facilities, but they also provide matching grants to nonprofits to preserve land for recreation and conservation. And these grants must be applied as a match, to municipal or county open space funds or private donations. So again, that collaboration is extremely important. But land preservation, it's both strategic and opportunistic, right? So as a municipality or a land trust, it's important to have a plan and a list of priorities to ensure that you are preserving with purpose, but we can only acquire land from landowners who are willing to sell it, or donate it. And as a watershed association, our priority is to preserve riparian land, wetlands, land with high potential for groundwater recharge, and land adjacent to other preserved lands to provide for habitat connectivity and greenways. So I'm going to share a case with you all today, a recent acquisition and a land preservation success story that really exemplifies the power of partnerships and collaborative conservation. So preserving this land was a high priority for our watershed. This is a drone shot where you can see much of the land we preserved along both sides of the South Branch Raritan River. If you can see my cursor, River Road is here. This is Raritan Township on the right, and Reddington Township on the left. And this here in the middle, the line that goes right across the river there, that's the Rockefeller's Mills Dam. So over the years, there's been contact with the private landowner to express an interest in working with them to assess the dam and study the feasibility of removing it to restore fish passage and water quality in the South Branch, and or purchasing the property for preservation should they ever decide to sell. And then one day last year, that foot in the door paid off, and we were informed that they'd have enough of New Jersey winters and decided to fly south. And so with news that the landowners were ready to sell, funding partners worked quickly to ensure that funding was dedicated for the acquisition. Well, as I mentioned, we have some amazing partners here in New Jersey. So nonprofit land trusts, New Jersey Conservation Foundation, Hunterdon Land Trust, and RHA came together to contribute our Green Acres funds to this project. But as I said, we needed a match because we were all using Green Acres, which would cover up to 50% of the acquisition. And fortunately, we got the funding we needed through the Hunterdon County Open Space Acquisition Grant Program. So make sure you look to your counties and your municipalities for support in land preservation projects. So New Jersey Water Supply also offered to support the project by covering some of the costs, soft costs, and we were a little short to get to the seller's asking price. So both Raritan Township and Reddington Township contributed open space funds to the project. And Reddington, in addition, and this is really important, they agreed to hold all 4 parcels. So it's a package deal. We had to, it was all or nothing, all 4 parcels while we conducted further study of the dam and took steps to manage the residential structure on the site. And so we're thrilled to now be in a position to further our collective goals for the South Branch and the protection of water resources in the Raritan Headwaters watershed. The Rockefeller's Mills Dam is the downstream most barrier on the South Branch Raritan River, and the removal of this dam has long been identified as a priority project to restore water quality and river habitat, enhance recreational fishing and boating opportunities for residents in Hunterdon County and visitors to our area. So this collaborative effort really extends beyond the land preservation story into a restoration partnership as well. So we previously secured funding through a natural resource damages settlement grant to study dams in our watershed. So the stars really aligned on this project, and the trustees of that settlement are the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, U.S. Fish and Wildlife, and DEP. I think one Zoom call that we held back in May had about 25 people on it. I guess the number of people who contributed in some way to this is probably closer to 50. So we have this case where we have nonprofit, municipal and county, state and federal partners working together on a project. And as we move ahead and conduct the study, we'll be conducting a robust public outreach campaign to invite stakeholder input. And once it's secure and restoration is complete, this land is going to be a valuable asset to the community for recreation and open space. So it wasn't a huge acquisition. These 4 adjoining parcels totaled just about 16 acres. The state-owned South Branch Wildlife Management Area is situated along the northern bank of the river, just downstream of these properties. So the outline of the 4 parcels is here on this map, the dam in the upper right. If I click again, you'll see in green highlighted the other open space preserved properties. So again, just to the east of the property that we're discussing is that South Branch Wildlife Management Area. Removal of this dam would allow migratory access to about 12.5 miles of primary river habitat along the South Branch upstream to the next impermeable dam, the Clinton Mills Dam, and an additional 35 miles within tributaries and upstream backwaters. So it's part of a larger effort to improve climate resilience and public safety as well. Sadly, there have been at least 4 fatalities at this dam that we know of. These low-head dams can be quite dangerous if you're caught in that current. So there are multiple community benefits to pursuing this project. So the take-home message here is that conservation is collaborative. And we have a shared responsibility to preserve and protect our environment, and together we can focus on direct, on-the-ground action like monitoring water quality and ecological conditions, cleaning up and restoring our watersheds, enhancing habitat, educating stakeholders and the public, and working within our own communities and together with neighboring towns. Environmental commissions are often on the front lines in these efforts. Successful partnerships they're critical to preserving and stewarding and making open spaces more accessible to the public for recreation. I mean, we need that collaboration between land trusts, community partners, and state agencies, to make positive change. So with that said, I welcome you to get in touch or pay us a visit. Bring us your ideas, your preservation wish lists, get working on those. And here are images of our 2 offices in case you'd like to pay us a visit. Our headquarters in the North Branch and our 170-acre wildlife preserve, Fairview Farm, is located up in Bedminster, New Jersey. And our South Branch office is now in Darts Mill in Flemington and Reddington Township. So thank you very, very much. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm looking forward to hearing the next speaker, and please visit raritanheadwaters.org for more information, and reach out to us if you need direction in finding preservation partners, especially if you're serving in one of the 38 municipalities in our watershed and have a preservation project in mind. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mara. That was excellent. And I want to remind everyone that there is a Q&A option at the bottom of the screen. We do have one question, Mara, and I figured we could squeeze this one in before we dive into another topic here. So I'm just going to read it. It says, in regards to riparian rights, in shore communities, there's a great debate with public versus private usage. For example, do you work with homeowners who hold riparian rights to conserve and restore, even though some of those spaces are contested as private versus public? This is in reference to beach and bay.
So
that's a
we're
meaty
pretty
question.
inland. We're in the headwaters, so we don't deal too much with coastal issues. But and we have regulations in place that protect riparian buffers depending on the designation of the stream. If it's a Category 1, for example, it has protection 300 feet on either side. But as you say, I mean, most of the land is in private ownership, and so we do often work with residents and community members who have properties along the rivers to work with them to educate them on best management practices. But it is private property, and there are restrictions as far as what they can do within a buffer. But we're constantly trying to educate the public on how to protect their waterways. Leave those buffers intact. Don't mow all the way up to the stream bank, things like that. So, but it is kind of different, I guess, the coastal versus the inland waterways. And I probably didn't answer your question, but if you want to ask it again, maybe I can take another
we can take another shot at the end if that participant would like to follow up. But yes, it's a little tricky to answer, not being coastal per se, but certainly homeowners and private property owners are absolutely key to the process. And wow, I counted 8 funding partners. That must have been really exciting, collecting all of the funds to get to the closing table. Congratulations on that alone.
Thank you very much.
And that was an excellent example of a lot of different partners coming together through a collaborative process in a fairly quick amount of time. To preserve that property. And then what happens next, right? Now you're restoring this dam, and that's the perfect segue to our next speaker, Sean Kane Holland, who's the nature and disability advocate for Pinelands Preservation Alliance. And Sean is going to tell us more about what happens after properties have been preserved to make sure that people can utilize them in an inclusive way. So I'm going to hand this over to you, Sean. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amanda. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us on this online webinar. Thank you for NJAC for inviting me to this this online webinar. Excited to present you information about our accessibility initiative that we've initiated beginning of last year. But yeah, so welcome. My name again is Sean Kane Holland. I'm the Access Nature Disability Advocate with Pinelands Preservation Alliance. For those who are not familiar with Pinelands Preservation Alliance, we're based in southern New Jersey, and we, similar to Raritan Headwaters, we are a non-profit organization that seeks outreach and preservation of Pinelands areas through science, advocacy, stewardship, and education, and outreach to the community to preserve these important natural resources. I joined the team last November as this initiative was getting underway, and I was tasked with leading and organizing the various pieces of this exciting initiative to making New Jersey's passive outdoor recreation opportunities more inclusive and accessible. So yeah, the Pinelands Preservation, or I'm sorry, the Pinelands is for Everyone initiative was devised at the height of the pandemic in 2022, the lockdowns. It was a time when many people were feeling isolated and escaped to the outdoors as often as possible. The benefits of being in nature to our physical and mental health is pretty well documented now in the health field. But for people living with disabilities, options are severely limited. They don't have the same opportunities to explore the outdoors to reap the benefits of being in nature. There are too few accessible nature or natural areas, and those that have some levels of accessibility aren't known widely or not properly advertised to the public. So PPA launched the Pinelands is for Everyone to address this need. Initially, we had received funding through New Jersey Division of Disability Services, the Inclusive Healthy Communities Grant Program, which got us started. Since then, we've been able to acquire more grant funding through the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation for projects in Burlington County. Yeah, so the collaborative efforts here really seek to break down barriers, both physical and regulatory, and ensure that individuals of all abilities can enjoy the Pinelands and, again, all of New Jersey's beautiful natural areas.
John, sorry to interrupt you. Just let me
Yeah.
know when you'd like me to advance slides.
Yeah, sorry. You can go to the next slide now, actually. So just going to go over the different pieces of this initiative. So the Pinelands is for everyone, and much larger, the Access Nature Initiative has several elements that have been phased in over time. So number one really is the creation of the Access Nature Forum for community building. This is an online Zoom gathering, so it's open to the general public, and this is so we can exchange information and advocate for people with disabilities seeking opportunities to explore nature. It's a space where individuals can brainstorm ideas to overcome both again physical and regulatory barriers when seeking passive outdoor rec opportunities. And I've been conducting these quarterly online. But so again, people with disabilities, their allies, advocacy groups, nonprofit organizations, land managers, and local and state officials can discuss, issues, barriers, and try to overcome and just figure out best practices for developing these sites to be more inclusive and accessible. So, inclusive programming, you consider audio equipment for those who might have hearing impairments. So if you're on a nature trail, you have 30 people out on a hike, having audio equipment would be beneficial. Or even I've seen some states and county parks have been receiving grants and assistance for other assistive equipment such as wheelchairs and binoculars that are designed to help people with color blindness, so it picks up colors. So that's just some ways, to advance inclusivity in programming and sites. Second, part of this is improving the accessibility of existing natural areas and nature trails. PPA has made great progress with this. We've been collaborating with several municipalities in the surrounding area, mostly in Burlington County at the moment. We've been working with Pemberton Township along with New Jersey Fish and Wildlife to improve a trail system around Pemberton Lake. That site is co-owned or managed by the township and the New Jersey Fish and Wildlife. And so we are also collaborating and working closely with the Pinelands Commission, who have a 13-step MOA process that we are going through to get approval and permission to actually do trail work. So when we're doing these trail work, we're looking to regrade the trail surface and lay down a geotextile for stability, stabilizing the surface, and then laying down a crushed stone dust to lay a even surface and flat. So mobility assistive devices such as wheelchairs, walkers, and even families with strollers can easily traverse these trails. And actually, in the photograph here, you can see my back is to the camera, but I'm actually seated in one of these wheelchairs I had discussed about earlier for getting folks out with mobility issues out on these trails. That was at the Franklin Parker Preserve. this was for a bird watching event that was held by Pinelands Adventures, which actually goes into the next or the third piece of our initiative is eco touring and programming. We're working with Pinelands Adventures to establish these inclusive eco programs. So we're looking at land-based right now, as well as hopefully in the future, water-based kayaking and canoeing programs. But with these inclusive programs, it was first going out, scouting out sites such as Franklin Parker Preserve. Also went to Batstow Historic Village, which has an ADA trail, and also Atsign Recreation Lake, both within Wharton State Forest, that have these ADA trails. Use this crushed stone dust material to stabilize the surfaces. So it was first, going out and scouting those locations, then testing assistive mobility equipment. Pinelands Adventures has been able to acquire through grant funding several styles of wheelchairs. Two of them are what you see photographed there. It's called a Freedom Grit chair, and that is a hand levered wheelchair. Then there's also electric wheelchairs, and then we also have two beach wheelchairs. So we were going out to these sites, assessing, which ones are best suited for these environments. And then next we held beta programming with Kingsway Learning Center, another collaboration work there, connecting with the disability community and organizations that serve that community. And we took their clients out on these trails to get their feedback on the equipment as well as the accessibility of these trails. And then fourth, moving into the fourth aspect of this initiative is the development of the Access Nature NJ map, which through another collaborative work with HopeWorks based in Camden, New Jersey, we have developed a web-based map, so individuals with disabilities can actually use this resource and find locations in New Jersey that have some level of accessibility with their programming, their trail systems. So it will provide detailed information on the site about parking, bathrooms, lengths of trails, widths of trails, what you might encounter when you're out on those trails, the things that need to be considered for individuals or anyone really, when visiting sites, what might they encounter. You can go to the next slide, please. So yeah, it's just talking a little bit more about collaboration work. We were able to get funding through the Delaware Water Conservation Fund to do more trail work in Burlington County for Evesham, Evesham at the Black Run Preserve. We're looking to do a half-mile long trail and improving that with the crushed stone dust and or boardwalks where land might be inundated with wetland areas. This is really all collaborative work. It's really important to connect with these organizations and communities. We did run town halls or city town halls to get feedback from individuals from this community to see what areas we should be focusing on for accessibility and inclusive programming and sites. But we're still seeking other partnerships and collaborative projects, and you can reach out to myself at the Pinelands Preservation Alliance If you had any projects or assistance or had any ideas that we might be able to help and collaborate with. But that does conclude my program. Any questions?
Thank you,
Thank
Sean.
you, Sean. Oh,
We-
Amanda, I'll let you facilitate the questions.
Okie dokie. We have one question here, which is how would one join the Access Nature Forum?
Yes. So on our website, Pinelands Preservation Alliance, is there a chat that I can put the link in?
Because this is set up as a webinar, I believe
Okay.
that is not possible, but we
Not
can,
possible.
if you want to, I don't know, another staff person might know better here than I, if you want to chime in, but we can certainly, if you share that with us, we can distribute it after the fact to Rick
Yeah.
and other participants.
Yeah, I'll provide the
exactly.
links for. I'll provide the links for all of that. But you would access it through our website, Pinelands Preservation Alliance, and then on there's a tab that is for Pinelands is for everyone, and in that you will find the forum sign up.
Excellent, excellent. And then a participant who is joining us today and also played an important role in planning this workshop as well as some other workshops at this year's Congress, Andrew Swak, who's from the Land Trust Alliance. Not a question, but more of an appreciation and public service announcement that the Land Trust Alliance has recently developed a series of resources, webinars, and focus groups around facilitating access to nature for people with disabilities, and many of them are publicly available. He is sharing the link here in the Q&A, so that is another resource that we can follow up with after this webinar.
Okay. I'd also like to point out that the ARC organizations, they also provide free webinars. So for land managers who are looking for information about accessible and inclusive programming, they can actually modify a webinar or a program or discussion around a specific topic. So if a land manager has, questions about how to make a site more accessible, they could probably provide a webinar discussing best practices for that.
Excellent. And Mara, did you want to jump in here?
Yeah, thank you. I couldn't put my question in the chat as a panelist, but thank you, Sean. What an incredible resource. I was just kind of looking at the Pinelands accessibility map as you were speaking and thinking what a fantastic tool this is. And I'm wondering, are there any comparable resources? And I'll have to check out Andrew's suggestion as well. But are there any comparable resources in central or northern New Jersey that are similar to this map?
As like a similar map.
Yeah, like a similar
So
resource.
I'm not aware of any that are New Jersey specific,
Okay.
but other organizations do have maps. So like the Audubon Society has a birdability map that shows you, sites that'll have, again, to some degree, an accessibility. So a person can discern for themselves whether or not it's a site for them based on, the topic of interest and also site evaluation. There's also another organization, I believe, based in Canada called Access Now, and they do a lot of similar work. I think they have a map.
Great,
that
thank you
actually
very much.
that actually covers things that are also outside of nature as well. So,
Fantastic, thank you.
mhm.
Excellent. Well, I just want to thank both of you for presenting today and providing this information to our environmental commissioners, our open space committee members, our green team members. This session will live on YouTube once the technology sends us the link. And that way, when these questions come up, we will circulate this session to people in the future. I look forward to continuing to work with both of you as we bring communities together to create more accessible spaces, safer spaces, greener spaces in New Jersey. We are the most densely populated state in the nation. So with that pressure and those challenges, we have lots of opportunities to work together and try to get it right. And I'm proud to have you both in the state of New Jersey and working with us here at ANJAC. So thank you so much. Thank you to the staff for helping us organize this session. And please join us this evening at 7 o'clock. We have our third virtual session, the topic of which I am blanking on at the moment. But
stormwater utility.
There we go. That's the thing I roll over in bed and talk about all the time. Stormwater utility. So please join us for that session this evening as we talk about an equitable, sustainable financial system to help us address the problems that have been created by past development and really compounded by the implications of climate change that we're facing today. So thank you, everybody. We hope you enjoy the rest of your day and hope to see you tonight at 7 o'clock. Take care.